Hey, what's up? It's your boy Rawk.
It's not possible. It can't be done. This isn't something you can avoid. It's an inevitability. This topic can't be discussed without asking this question. Succumb to your fate, Rawk.
No! 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 I don't want to be a cliché! Hey, what's up? It's your boy Rawk. I just had the craziest dream. I was becoming a cliché, and we all know that that's not possible. I don't think the Metroid Prime Federation Force is a good video game. Did you know that Super Mario Bros. 2 is Doki Doki Panic in Japan?
Oh god, I'm reaching my limits! The world is about to be hit with an insane fact. Super Mario Bros. Was a huge success. You might want to take a few minutes to process that information, maybe walk it off. This game sold over 40 million units, saving the games industry as a whole and putting Nintendo on the map. It's hard to argue that this game did monumentally well, so the possibility of a sequel wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And so begins the trauma.
As we all know, Super Mario Bros. 2 is a different game depending on where in the world you live. There is a reason for that. And it scares me.
Nintendo of Japan began development on a sequel, with the intention of it being an extension of the original game for players that had beaten and mastered it. The game would reuse almost all of the assets from the original, with a few new tricks up its sleeve, but fundamentally, it was just another Super Mario Bros. The final product was shipped to Nintendo of America, and after a group of playtesters got their hands on it, they swiftly reached the conclusion of this game was way too difficult, and Nintendo of America figured that it didn't stand a chance in the North American market. So they worked with Nintendo of Japan to find a solution. Now this is where the development story gets interesting. Nintendo had been sitting on a prototype Mario project that involved vertical levels compared to horizontal levels. But due to the hardware limitations of the NES, the idea couldn't be fully realized, and some more traditional Mario elements were added in, before the project was put on the back burner for the foreseeable future. Sometime later, the Fuji Television Company approached Nintendo to see if they would develop a game using some of their mascots, and Nintendo used this Mario prototype to create Doki Doki Panic. After the whole Mario 2 debacle in the States, Nintendo decided to allow Doki Doki Panic to become what it was always supposed to be. They took this game and turned it into what the rest of the world would come to know as Super Mario Bros. 2.
So, did you know that Super Mario Bros. 2 in Japan is not Doki Doki Panic? Super Mario Bros. 2 is Super Mario Bros. 2. It's insane to me that that's a clarification that needs to be made. But despite this, Super Mario Bros. 2 is still two completely different games. There's no getting around that. So instead of succumbing to the tropes of Super Mario Bros. 2, let's take a look at both versions of this game and see which one ends up being the better of the two.
For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to refer to these two games the same way Nintendo generally does. I'll call the one that the Americans couldn't handle Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. And I'll call the funky as hell one Super Mario Bros. USA. Which means that neither of these games win. If they can't decide which one gets to be Super Mario Bros. 2, then neither of them get to.
I'm gonna make such a good dad someday.
So let's start with Mario USA. All I need to do is book a flight. Right off the bat, there's one blindingly obvious thing that makes this game stand out from the first Mario game, and a lot of Mario games that would follow this one. That being, dear God, anybody but Mario. We're greeted by a character select screen, allowing us to choose from Mario or three not Marios. We have Luigi, Princess Peach, and Toad, all characters who were pretty prominent in the first game, and were pretty much the extent of the non-villainous Mario cast at the time, and can I be honest? I think this is really damn cool. Sure, nowadays having multiple playable characters to choose from is the bare minimum a game can hope to achieve, but sometimes even the bare minimum is too much, so they get added in free updates for months after the game releases. A Mario game now having 4 characters to choose from wouldn't be particularly groundbreaking. But this was the second game in the series. Does nobody else think that's really neat? As soon as Mario's second game, Nintendo were already making an effort to expand the Mushroom Kingdom cast. Now, granted, there are only 4 characters because Doki Doki Panic had 4 characters, but this is still cool, damn it! Each character plays differently, giving you incentives to use each one. Mario is the all-rounder, Luigi is a bit more slippery but can jump higher, Princess Peach can hover, and Toad is the fastest of the bunch. So let's pick a character and get into the game. Let's start off with Luigi, because as a self-diagnosed older sibling, I want to live a day in the shoes of the 99%. Getting into the level and... Opinions! We all have them, and I'm no exception. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of how this game plays. It's not that it's bad or anything, it's just that the controls are a lot more loose than they were in the original. Now I know you must be banging your head repeatedly against your nearest local table after hearing that. I know, I'm playing as Luigi right now, but even if I switch over to Peach or Toad or bitch basic vanilla ice cream Mario, there's still a certain level of precision that these controls lack. It's definitely something that you get used to, don't get me wrong, but I still think I'd prefer something closer to Mario 1. Now the level design in this game is pretty damn solid. We have our typical horizontal Mario affair, but we also spice things up and take our relationship to the Y-axis with vertical levels. We also have a lot of sub-areas that are accessed through doors, and all of these different types of environment blend together quite nicely. All of the different visual themes in this game are a big step up from the original game, and would end up initializing what we'd come to expect from Mario theming later down the line. Grass World, Desert World, Water World, Ice World! The horror! By almost all accounts, this wacky Mario sequel that was born from an entirely different game would go on to act as a fundamental basis for all future Mario games. Apart from maybe that. Now this game doesn't feature any returning enemies from the original game, which is pretty bizarre to me. But we are introduced to series staples such as Shy Guy. I adore Shy Guy. He would go on to be in Mario Kart, Mario Tennis, Mario Party, Mario Strikers. But I'd prefer it if he was in a morgue. So let's do what we've always done and crush his skull.
What the fuck?
Stomping on enemies doesn't kill them. I repeat, stomping on enemies doesn't kill them. This is not a drill, people! This is fucking insanity. How am I supposed to defeat enemies? Never mind, this is amazing. Super Mario USA sees you picking up and throwing enemies as your primary form of attack. Pick up a Shy Guy, throw it at another Shy Guy. The way it's meant to be. You can also pull things up from the ground, such as turnips, mushrooms, and bombs. This gives Mario USA a very unique combat system for a Mario game, and it's actually pretty fun. Speaking of combat, unlike the original Super Mario Bros., this game actually has bosses. We have Birdo, who would go on to be a Mario spin-off mainstay, kind of. We have a mouse, a snake, an entire fire. But of course, we finish the game with Bow. Who the fuck invited you here? The main antagonist of this game is Wart, the same main antagonist as a witch's nose. So, that's a grand total of every enemy in this game having nothing to do with the established Mario universe. But why on earth is that the case? The biggest cop-out in all of gaming, that's why! The events of Super Mario USA were all just a dream.
Onto the lost levels.
Now this looks familiar. Mario The Lost Levels is an asset reusing sequel to the original Super Mario Bros., which proves that even in the 80s, game developers were lazy. I kid, The Lost Levels was designed to be an extension of the original game for players who'd mastered it. It makes complete sense for this game to reuse assets, but they are all spruced up a bit, or at least as much as you can expect an early NES game to spruce up graphically. Now, I know I had a decent bit to say about Super Mario USA as a sequel, but with The Lost Levels, it's literally just a harder Super Mario Bros. This game introduced the Poison Mushroom, the sprite of which looks pretty damn similar to the standard mushroom, which makes it fairly easy for a newcomer to be caught off guard and killed by this thing. But other than that, It's just a harder version of Super Mario Bros., man. As somebody who found the original game to be a bit on the easier side of things, I appreciate this extra challenge. But I don't know if it's enough for this game to stand on its own 2 feet. This game is what would happen if Super Mario Bros. Just kept going. And because of that, it's fine.
Super Mario Bros. 2 is a fascinating game to talk about. Or rather, they are fascinating games to talk about. They're 2 sides of the same coin, but they're so different in every conceivable way. Both of these games are incredibly enjoyable, and they both feel like they're worthy of being considered the true Mario sequel. But at the end of the day, there can only be one. I think the best way to look at this is, which of these 2 games influenced the series more? And, spoiler alert, there is a correct answer. Super Mario USA introduced Birdo and Shy Guy, redefined the limits of a Mario level with vertical segments, and introduced characteristics of the main cast that would go on to become staples of their characters for the rest of the series' history. Meanwhile, the Lost levels introduced poison mushrooms. And the series has never been the same because of it. So there's only one question left to answer. Which version of Super Mario Bros. 2 is the best? This one.